Unmasked, unedited, unwatchable. Let's go, my friends. And welcome, my stars of Orion. Thank you for watching. I'm Orion Kelly, that autistic guy, and I'm all about providing validation and support for autistic people and their loved ones. Now, the past couple of weeks, I've been unwell. By the way, when I say that, I don't mean like I'm really sick and I'm dying or something. No, what I mean is like I've just been unwell. I've got two kids. They go to school. The cold, the viruses, whatever's going round, right? That's what I mean by unwell. Physically, mentally, emotionally, probably yes, all of them. And honestly, it's brought up a lot of stuff incorporating autistic burnout. So let's talk about that, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I don't know what that even means. This is off to a good start. I don't need to edit it, but I am going to get up and move something because it's agitating me. So just my laptop, but it's flickering and sorry. This is weird. It's going to look weird, but I'll be back in a sec. Unmasked, unedited. Okay, that's better. Or is it, my friends? Or is it? I don't know. Anyway, being autistic, being unwell, but also having pressures to push through. Even when your autistic brain says, please stop, I want to check in with you guys and talk about it. And maybe we can talk about how I've experienced it, and that will make you feel less alone. Maybe you're feeling this too. I don't know. So for starters, autistic people and illness, being unwell, just common viruses and stuff like that. It's an interesting experience for me. Why is that? Well, the first thing I'd say is I feel like I'm one of those people where I feel like I'm like not regularly sick. So my family could have all the common illnesses and I seem to not get it. It doesn't stick. Teflon or titanium, whatever the bloody hell it is. Right? Does that make sense? I feel like I have that. But then when I finally get sick, I feel like it takes me forever to recover. Forever to get rid of it. It's a strange dichotomy, I guess. Because, okay, so you're saying you almost never get sick, but then you're saying when you get sick, you get sick. I mean, it's like my body just somehow protects, but then when it can't protect anymore, it dies. And I think it's all coming ahead. So let's take this back a bit. I'm recording this in early April 2025. Okay, so in early December 2024, here in Australia, the school year finished for summer. Okay, so from early December, I've been home with the boys, and they went back to school in early Feb. Okay, and now, in a couple of days, we're going into the term 1 break, the Easter school holidays, which go for about 2.5, 3 weeks. And I've been unwell for the last couple of weeks. And before that, I was pushing crap uphill, right? Using my time to try and get back into the swing of things after being kind of grounded since early December. And then you have all these roadblocks. And then you get unwell. And then that is a worse roadblock. And then you get this tiny little window, which I'm in right now. And you no longer want to or can push through. I'm not sure if this makes sense to you. And again, you know the vibe of these unmasked, unedited videos. These aren't standard regular videos. These are like personal insights into just me as an autistic person where I just talk about something that I feel deeply in this moment. So I think this is probably the first time, because both my kids are of school age now, where I've had to grapple as an autistic adult, as an autistic dad of 2 kids, and as a content creator, so someone who works from home or for themselves, if that's what you want to call it, has to grapple with the two worlds kind of colliding. Because when you have 2 kids and they go to school, see what I'm saying about my voice? You get an enormous amount of days where they're not at school. And to make it worse, in the last few weeks when I've been unwell because of the boys. So the boys have had stay-at-home days. So when you think, oh, I haven't got much time here to do stuff, you have less time. And then that snowballs. So what does that mean with regards to burnout? This is the problem, see. So as autistic people, it can be very hard to be given the right supports or the right framework to really thrive. Not because the people who love us don't love us, but because it's a hard thing to grasp yourself, let alone others. So if the framework is you're autistic in a neurotypical world, you just have to, as a standard procedure, push through. Just push through. That's everything. It's school holidays for 8 weeks, over Christmas, over summer. You've just got to push through. They'll be back at school soon. They're back at school. Okay, now you've got to go. You've got to push, 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 push. It's like, but I've just pushed through all this and now I'm so broken and burnt out from pushing through being, a dad, being an autistic person, with the boys and holidays, that I don't know if I can go anywhere or do anything. So I can't push through having to push through. And then the rest of the stuff comes on top of it. And then you get unwell or you get sick. And yes, I would say as an autistic person, the idea of never getting sick, but when I get sick, I'm sick forever. It probably happens when I'm burnt out. It probably happens when I've reached autistic burnout, when I've reached a point where I can no longer push through. Because as autistic people, that's just the rule. Push through. Environment triggering, push through. Right? You're dysregulated, push through. You feel unheard, unvalued, push through. Right? The world doesn't care about what you need. Just push through. That leads to autistic burnout. And again, not because of the loved ones not loving us, but because we're autistic people in a neurotypical world. And no one really cares to understand, let alone understand and cares to make changes. So we get into autistic burnout. And why is that? Because we feel the need to not only push through, but we feel the pressure to be as neurotypical and live up to the stresses, demands, pressures, expectations of neurotypical people. And for me, I can't relate to just a neurotypical person saying they're exhausted or they're just tired. I can't relate to that because, that sounds like a normal day to me. When I talk about autistic burnout, I don't talk about what someone might say, I'm just exhausted at the moment, I'm run down, I'm tired. Well, to me, that's a normal day. Autistic burnout, it differs, in my opinion, greatly from that. And of course, it's not something you experience all the time. You wouldn't want to. But if you push through, like we have in these situations, and it leads to burnout, when you finally get an opportunity to do the things that you need to do or want to do, you can no longer push through and do them because in pushing through all this time, you're burnt out. And then you start to panic. I can no longer meet the needs and demands and pressures and stresses and expectations of others. And then that kind of festers inside you and grows. And then you get unwell. And honestly, being an autistic person and being unwell is a whole other kettle of fish. Everyone hates being unwell. It sucks. As autistic people, we all have different ways of dealing with it. Okay, so for me, let's go through some basic symptoms. You can get headaches, sore throat. You can get a runny nose. You can get belly aches. All different manifestations of viral illnesses. Yeah, just basic run-of-the-mill viral illnesses. And none of those are good. But for autistic people, experiencing sensory stuff differently, it can provide a level of discomfort that no one can relate to. And you can just look like an absolute moron. And you're not. You're not. You see, you're autistic when you're well. And you're autistic when you're unwell. And if the majority of people are lesser human beings when they're at their worst or weakest or unwell, then clearly human beings who are already seen as lesser human beings by the neurotypical world are going to be even lesser when they're unwell. So there you go. Now we'll push through that, mate. We can't have you being even more autistic just because you're unwell. What do you want us to do? We can't fix you. And see, this is where those expectations become even less manageable. And the expectation is, well, Orion, I'm an autistic content creator. I try to record and publish a video for you every week. If I don't do that, I legitimately feel like a failure, because that's what I want to do. That's what I really want to do. Like, it's my choice. But if I'm unwell and I'm not able to do it, or if I simply can't push through any longer and I don't have the opportunity to do it, even though I know I physically and mentally and emotionally can't do it, I feel like I'm failing you. I'm failing others. I was unable to push through, and that's now affecting you, me. And it doesn't help. And why is that? Well, because it never occurred to me to stop. Does that make sense as an autistic person? Regardless of your current situation, whether you're unwell, whether you're in burnout, whether you're dysregulated, whether you're simply having a rough time, did it ever occur to you to just stop? Did it ever occur to you to give yourself permission to just stop? I ask this because no, it doesn't occur to me to give myself permission to stop. Why? Because that's the reverse of pushing through, which I've been told to do. That's the reverse of reaching or trying to reach the expectations of others, to try to please the neurotypical world. Again, not about the loved ones, about just the worldview we have. Does that make sense? Oh, I should just stop. Because if I stop, I'm giving myself permission to fail, to not do something, to simply stop and rest. And your brain, that would never occur to your brain, because your brain will only look at it like, well, one thing you certainly can't do is stop, right? Or put your oxygen mask on first. Like, in my mind, the autistic brain can hear that, like you're on a plane, yeah? And you've got kids, and they say, I'm trying to talk here, my phone's ringing, just one sec. And you want me to not edit this. This is your fault, not mine, yours. My computer's agitating me, my phone's ringing, it's all going. I lost my train of thought completely. I think it was something along the lines of, if you have kids, put your oxygen mask on first, yeah? When I do this, all I think about is Bane, the greatest villain in the history of villains, man. It's like, you think darkness is your ally. I was born in the darkness. Calling back. God damn it. Well, this is a good video. Off to a good start, my friends. Hey, by the way, I've recorded over 1,000 videos, and I don't think I've ever been interrupted once or twice by phone calls. It never happens, which is funny, right? Because I'm talking about like giving yourself permission to stop or to not do things for others anyway. The brain doesn't understand, my autistic brain doesn't get the idea. If I'm unwell, if I'm burnt out, I should put my oxygen mask on first. And what does that mean? It means stop. If you feel like you've got to make content for other people, stop. If you feel like you've got to live up to these expectations or those expectations, stop. So it's a permission to tell yourself it's okay. Because I think autistic people can really struggle with the oxygen mask stuff. What does that mean? I don't know. What does it mean? Sorry, I'm very distracted, by the phone calls now. I'm just kind of looking around, like trying to work out what's happening here. Guilt and expectations and pressures, these things that are lumped on us from the start. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. We struggle with that because, well, it's a matter of course. It's a matter of course. It's part of our day. Push through, right? We don't want the guilt of not meeting expectations. There's internalized pressure. And I always think when I say that, is it internalized or was it placed there from an external source, and now it feels internalized, when really the internalized pressure is actually external? Was it too deep? I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is, what I'm learning is, as an autistic dad, an autistic kid, an autistic husband, an autistic content creator, the world moves fast. Your life moves fast. Things become hard. And you don't put on your oxygen mask first. You don't. You just push through. And things pop up and it makes it worse. Like, mate, now you're unwell. Now you can't even talk to record. You idiot. Right? And now you can't get better. And now the kids are homesick. And now it's holidays. And now you're stuffed. And then you catastrophize. And at no stage did it occur to you that maybe back down the line, you maybe should have been a bit more kind to yourself and removed the push through mentality and said, just stop. Oxygen, mask first. Coping is something that autistic people don't really do well with, I don't think. And what's really funny is, maybe this is just in Australia, but recently there's been, a few people in like mainstream media who have, used their radio show or podcast to what would you say? To try and talk about their experience with autism, which usually is their child. And I don't know if you'd say it's to help the child or it's to help them, because it can come across in a way insightful, but also through the lens of a non-autistic parent, almost kind of complaining in a way where they're trying to not complain, but really, well, it just sounds like you're talking about your experiences and the experiences of the family and not so much the autistic person. And this has definitely happened recently in Australia. I heard a dude talk about it on a podcast, which actually I listened to and it was pretty cool, but still, through the lens of a parent about an autistic kid, but all it is, this kind of emotion around things and people looking for validation as parents. And, and even heard like a radio host in Australia talk about their autistic child. And again, it looked like there was validation there as a parent, and sure, their heart's in the right place, presumably, but you don't finish hearing it and go, I really understand the struggles of that autistic child now. You don't. You think, I really understand the resentment of the parents and other siblings of that autistic child. Now, that might not have been the intention, but that's what you hear. Now, regular everyday people won't hear that. They'll just hear, it's like Love on the Spectrum. Oh, how cute, how loving, how nice is that radio host to have an autistic child and to, like that's a thing. Like they went to the shop and bought it. They didn't. Like they gave birth to a kid, it's their kid. It turns out autistic and this is their reality. Like there's no credit to be given there for that. That just is life. You roll the dice. But I think that made it worse for me. Like here I am, an autistic person with an autistic kid, sharing not only my experiences as an autistic person, but sharing my thoughts and feelings on not how my life sucks, but how you can understand autism better and how you can help improve the lives of autistic loved ones. And I'm trying to do that every week and putting videos out there. And then you get a couple of people on podcasts and radio shows that virtually do a woe is me piece under the guise of their autistic child. And although that's not their intention, that's how it comes across to anyone with any level of intelligence or sophistication. And then think, well, what the hell am I doing? Because think about it like this. I do this every day, yeah? What content do I create? Autistic content. Okay, what do? Well, they create podcasts on all topics, or they have a radio show, which is a radio show, which means it's not based on autism. It's based on entertaining the masses, right? So what? This is a bit for you? This is a bit. Oh yeah, I've got a great bit. I'll be candid and personal about my autistic child, and everyone can hear how horrible our life can be, how challenging our life can be, right? And how hard it is on the family and the siblings and like, okay, great. So the point is because then people will like me more. They might feel sorry for me or think, what a nice person. And then they'll listen to me more. And then my radio show or my podcast will be more successful. And then I'll be so great, right? And then, okay, cool. And then when you finish that, what are you going to do? Just back to the normal stuff, right? So what you explain to me how that helps. You explain to me how that helps. It doesn't, right? And then you get someone like me, completely burnt out from being an autistic dad, from being an autistic person, with an autistic child. Don't remember the last time I put out content that instead of validating and supporting people was just saying, let me tell you how shit my life is, right? Because I'm on holidays with kids or this or that. That isn't, what's the point of that? What do you achieve there? Oh, well, you'll achieve ratings, or people will like you, or they'll download your podcast. You'll get shared, you'll go viral. Good luck, right? So this is exactly what I'm talking about with regards to autistic people pushing through, right? Because they're saying, I've got an autistic child. I'm going to use him now or her now for the betterment of my podcast or radio show, because that's the only reason why you do it in that avenue. Oh, no. It's to shine a light. Well, the light you shine seemed to be about you and your family, not the kid. So, no, it wasn't about shining a light. It was about content. You did it for content. I create content to validate and support people, to educate people. What are you doing it for? Well, I've only really done it once. Okay, so it was a bit, right? So I've got to push through. I'm an autistic person. I've got to push through. But then you can just use it as one-off bits here and there, and it can actually be whingy, whiny, how bad is it for everyone else? Forget about everyone else. I don't give a shit about the everyone else in this situation. Everyone else is an individual. If you're shining a light on autism, shine a light on the autistic child. If you want to shine a light on how challenging it can be for other family members, great, then that can be a bit too. But don't conflate, I'm shining a light on autism by saying how shithouse our life can be, or how bad life can be. Again, the intentions are not relevant to me in this instance, because I'm an autistic person and I'm told, push through. Don't whinge, don't whine, be normal. If you want to have a good life, act normal. Does that make sense? Yet here we are on the other hand, non-autistic people, neurotypical people using autistic kids or family members as content, as fodder, as a bit, for nothing more than validation of themselves and hopefully some degree of success with their show or podcast. It just agitates me. Oh, you're a great parent. This is the bit. This is the bit. You've done this, right? You shamed your child about being the cause of your family's stress. Oh, you can't leave your town. I can't leave the suburb we live in. Okay, thanks for telling me. Really appreciate it. Oh, it's a running joke, is it? Oh, cool. So the office are now shaming your autistic kid for ruining the lives of your family. I mean, like, great. Thanks so much for bringing us in on that passive-aggressive bullying of your own child, you moron. I mean, seriously. Really? So it's like, it's okay for them to have their emotions and feelings. Absolutely. But don't talk about it under the guise of autism. Try to use it to go viral during a period of the year where the world will talk about it, and then they'll drop it and wash their hands clean like it doesn't exist. All right, back to the normal radio stuff now, guys. Back to the normal podcast stuff. It's become like this commercialized version of advocacy. It's like you can have someone who's an advocate who actually spends their day, their life, creating content to advocate. And you can have someone who just orders like a McHappy Meal advocacy of one thing for one day. You know, drives through, grabs it, eats it, disposes of it. See ya. You know what I mean? It's bloody stupid. That's why I hate all that autism awareness crap. And it's just, it's like, yeah, I'll just be quiet. I think I'll just be quiet during the awareness month, whatever the hell it is, because all you're going to get is non-autistic people trying to use that as a way to, they'll say, you know, shine a light, but really as a way to use something for their own personal gain, which is no different to my entire thoughts on shows like Love on the Spectrum. So, yeah, I feel burnt out. I've pushed through past the point of pushing through. I have never thought once to stop, to allow myself that, to allow myself to put my oxygen mask on first. It never occurred to me. And therefore I failed in not being able to push through. And then people who don't ever need to worry about that are actually doing the reverse and using opportunities to, in effect, whinge and whine about how bad life can be. Not even in the first instance trying to get that perspective from the person who's actually experiencing the life they are somehow affected by. It agitates me. It's so stupid. I think the point of this really, and you know, it's not supposed to have a point, it's unmasked, it's unedited. The point of this really is, as autistic people, you know, we actually have to acknowledge that we are allowed to give ourselves permission to stop. We are allowed to give ourselves permission to not push through. We are allowed to give ourselves permission to put our oxygen mask on first. When the world says, no. In the end, look, another way of putting it is, in the world of an aeroplane crash, autistic people are the kids. So in the event of a crash, all non-autistic people, put your mask on first, then worry about the autistic people's welfare, right? That's pretty much what's happening in this instance. So, you know, if you have an autistic kid, great. Thank you. What do you want me to say? You had sex and gave birth to a child. That child's autistic. And, right? Great. Live life. See ya. Thanks for coming. Right? No, you don't just get to, oh, well, I'm gonna use this as fodder and content. Well, shit, mate. For what end? Because, yeah, you could say, Orion, you use it as fodder and content. Yes, to validate and support autistic people and their loved ones. I'm autistic. I try to help people with strategies and education and thoughts and feelings. I don't just use it as a complaining session to somehow draw validation that I'm so good. I'm so good because I've got an autistic kid and I'm still alive And I'm here. How good am I? Really? And frankly, I think it will disgust the autistic people in your life down the track. It'll disgust them. Oh, what did you do? Oh, when you were young, I used you as a way to generate this kind of like emotional content to help the success of my radio show or podcast. Oh, that sounds pretty bloody horrible. Yeah, okay. Maybe we shouldn't be friends anymore. Okay, let's stop. I don't know. I hope this makes you feel like you're not alone, and resting, stopping, not pushing through is something you deserve, is valid, is something we don't think about and should think about more. And if not, where does it end up? We end up feeling like failures, broken, bad, stupid human beings who enter debilitating periods of burnout. And the vicious cycle continues. But don't worry, because if it gets bad enough, non-autistic family members can use it all as content. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna go viral. Check out my book, Autism Feels, An Earthling's Guide, available in paperback and Kindle from Amazon worldwide.